Right now at noon, plans to enforce pool safety regulations in Nevada, why some people are upset.
And it's another hot day, dangerous heat continuing across the area. Some relief on the way though. We'll have a look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, a weather condition Missouri hasn't seen in 3 years brings a blessing and some challenges.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Elise Snowy. New at noon today, a woman is recovering after an early morning incident in Joplin. Around 5 a.m., emergency crews responded to a home on North Sargent Avenue. The woman was taken to a hospital with a gunshot wound that is not considered life-threatening. Police have the area taped off as they work to figure out what happened. Neighbors are asked to steer clear while the investigation continues. You can check for updates as they become available on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Let's check in now with Chris Warner for First Weather.
Yeah, it's another hot and muggy day across the area for us. Looks okay if you're inside. We got a few clouds out there this afternoon, and of course, plentiful sunshine for us as well. And as we take a look at the MoDOT camera 20th in range line, looking back to the south, same thing, those partly cloudy skies, and that's part of why we were talking earlier about the pop-up storm chances this afternoon. Take a look at this. We started yesterday at 79 degrees and made it up to 96. 9 above for the average low and 5 above for our average high. A reminder, heat advisories continuing at least for some of us through at least Wednesday evening. And take a look at these temperatures already. We're already into the low to mid 90s out there, putting our heat index values into that 100 to 105 and even say Iola getting close to that 110 degree range already here at the noon hour. Where if it's still going to be into the low to mid 90s by 7, pop-up storm chances start wrapping up. Skies will clear out. And take a look at this too. 84 at 11 o'clock. Still warm and muggy overnight. Another hot day tomorrow, and then we've got some relief on the way. We'll break down those details for you here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, a new study indicates Miami, Oklahoma needs more housing. The Miami Area Economic Development Service commissioned a study last year assessing housing needs. Now the results of that study are made public. The study indicates the Miami area needs between 500 to 600 new homes. Most of those homes need to be in the $100,000 to $200,000 range.
We actually had him look at each economic development to try to determine how many units we need at each level. And so that's some of the data that we got back in the housing study. And so we looked at low-income housing, we looked at low to upper middle class housing, and then higher end or maybe like junior executive level housing.
The Miami Economic Development is looking at areas for housing developments outside the city limits. And the city of Nevada says it will soon begin enforcing a code for those with pools and hot tubs. Now, if your pool, hot tub, or spa holds more than 2 feet of water, it must be fully enclosed with a fence at least 4 feet tall and include a self-closing, self-latching gate. City staff say it's a national code that many cities across the country enforce, but recent complaints from community members is encouraging Nevada to begin enforcing it.
It's quite common to see this in cities for the protection of young people. So it's something that governments can do. We do it for cars speeding too fast. It's meant to protect citizens.
City staff say they are giving residents time to comply with this code, with enforcement beginning in May of next year. Residents will need to get a fence permit from the city by October. Well, Freeman Health System is recognizing its auxiliary members for a recent donation benefiting the Ozark Center Turnaround Ranch in Joplin. Volunteers raised $8,000 to furnish the facility's newly renovated Family Life Center, adding couches, curtains, and even a kitchen table. The donation also funded picnic tables and benches near the ranch's new duck pond. Staff say the upgrades help create a more home-like environment for teens and families going through recovery.
We owe whatever we can do to help young people. And the opportunity to help kids that are in the situation here at Turnaround Ranch, getting the support they need to have productive and healthy lives, is a small thing we can do in that support effort. The ranch serves around 100 adolescents facing emotional and behavioral challenges.
Well, for the first time in 3 years, no part of Missouri is under a drought or abnormally dry conditions. However, as Nick Kelly reports, that brought both blessings and challenges for the rest of the growing season.
Since June of 2022, the state of Missouri has had abnormally dry conditions or some state of drought. But that quickly faded away with spring and summer soakings. For Dan Bigby at Fast Night Creek Farm, that rain came with flooding at the creek and wind damage.
Lots of trees on the creek down that are in the way. Also things like tall cannas and corn. With the excessive moisture, then you get the wind and it lays them over, and they're a loss that way. And it just is rough conditions this year.
Jason Walker has 3 different farms across Christian, Greene, and Polk counties to cover his cattle, alfalfa, hay, and other crops. While Walker's grateful to have too much rain than not enough rain, it did put a wrench into his plans.
We do a lot of planting and a lot of our first hay cutting in April and May, and those were 2 of the wettest months, the way I understand, on record. And we got our crops planted a little bit later, and we also got our hay harvested a little bit later. It was nice to, have something to harvest.
Both are fortunate to have some positives as the growing season continues. Farmer Dan is now glad the heat is helping along a sweet summer treat.
We got some wonderful, sweet, seedless red watermelons. Got some orange and yellow. Cantaloupe, watermelon, and peaches are what are really floating the boat.
As for Jason, he's pleased with how his alfalfa planting has gone so far at his Ozark farm. While he's glad for the dry time, he remains optimistic about how things could go by this fall.
We would like to see a little bit of rain going into the fall to plant our fall crops, but right now, I don't think we can complain too much. We've had pretty good moisture for the year.
Well, coming up, a shooter opens fire inside a New York City office building. What we know about the victims and the latest on the investigation. And later, we're making peachy keen cream pie in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Police in Arkansas are still searching for a suspect in the deaths of a couple who investigators said were attacked while on a wooded walking trail with their 2 young daughters. All trails at Devil's Den State Park in Washington County, Arkansas remain closed as the investigation continues. A husband and wife, 43-year-old Clinton Brink and 41-year-old Kristen Brink, were hiking with their daughters ages 7 and 9 when the attack happened on Saturday. Authorities say the couple died protecting their children. The victims' bodies were sent to the Arkansas State Crime Lab to determine the official cause and manner of death. Now, authorities have released a composite sketch of the suspect. State police say he's believed to be a white man of medium build wearing dark pants, a long-sleeved shirt with sleeves rolled up, a baseball cap, sunglasses, and fingerless gloves. He is also believed to be driving a black 4-door sedan. Witnesses say the description came from people inside the park. And police say 3 people died after a gunman opened fire at a resort and casino in Reno, Nevada. Several people were injured. Police responded to reports of an active shooter at the Grand Sierra Resort's front door and valet area yesterday morning. Authorities say an officer-involved shooting occurred once the suspect was located. The suspect, who is now in police custody, was injured and taken into a hospital. Well, New York City investigators may have a clue as to a motive in a deadly Midtown shooting based on a note the gunman left behind. 4 people, including a New York City police officer, were gunned down. Bradley Blackburn has more.
Investigators are searching for a motive in the deadly shooting at a Manhattan office building that left 4 victims dead, including a police officer. New York Mayor Eric Adams says a note was found with the shooter, identified as 27-year-old Shane Tamura of Las Vegas.
The note alluded to that he felt he had CTE, a known brain injury for those who participate in contact sports. He appeared to have blamed the NFL for his injury.
Adams told CBS Mornings the preliminary investigation shows the gunman meant to go to the NFL offices but took the wrong elevator.
The building personnel said, stay in place. There's an active shooter. Don't leave. Get away from the windows.
Among the victims of Monday night's attack is NYPD officer Didarul Islam, who was shot and killed in the lobby. The 36-year-old immigrant from Bangladesh joined the force 3.5 years ago.
He was saving lives. He was protecting New Yorkers.
Police say the gunman also killed a security officer and a woman in the lobby. He then took the elevator to the 33rd floor where the shooting continued.
One person was struck and killed on that floor. He then proceeds down a hallway and shoots himself in the chest.
Investigators say the suspect drove himself from Las Vegas all the way to New York City, where he parked directly in front of this 44-story office building and then walked into the lobby with a high-powered rifle.
According to our law enforcement partners in Las Vegas, Mr. Tamora has a documented mental health history.
Investigators say the shooter was carrying a concealed firearms permit. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
And still to come on KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Today, we're turning these peaches into a fresh pie that's comfort at its best. With pie this good, you'll never want to make another dessert.
And we are tracking some thunderstorm chances with big changes on the way. The latest when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at noon. So it is hot outside. If you've been outside, you already know that. If you haven't been outside, I'm warning you now, it's probably best to stay inside, at least for the next couple of days. Let's take a quick look outside. That way you don't even have to go to the window. We'll show it to you right here in high definition on your television. Live look from downtown Pittsburgh. Again, we've got those partly cloudy skies, which was the expectation, as we'll start to have a few opportunities for an isolated pop-up storm or two as we head into the afternoon hours here. So again, between 2 and about 7, maybe a couple isolated lingering after that, but otherwise you can see pop-up storm chances that are there. Now, Future Track is picking up on this here. I do not believe we're really looking at any kind of rain or storm chances overnight, but we do have a low pressure. It's going to be somewhat close, and so that could possibly trigger a couple of showers, but nothing significant. The big changes are going to happen as we roll into our Wednesday. By noon, starting to go partly cloudy again, like we are today. A few isolated pop-up storms initially, then we'll start to see a few more of them later in the evening, and then we get first this guy. This is that same complex of storms that we showed you yesterday that originally started in Greenwood, Coffee counties, moved southeast. This morning, it started there again, but this time moved east. This time, still in that same time frame, but starting a little further north, right along the cold front, right along that boundary. And so we get these scattered storms developing, stretching really across the entire area, and they'll continue to go southeastward along this line. Here we are at 10 o'clock now. So Stockton, Nevada, Fort Scott, parts of Cherokee County, of Lamar, Parsons, Chinook, Fredonia, and back toward Elk and Chautauqua counties. Then as we go to about midnight, it kind of starts to reorganize itself. So we still have these storms stretching back to the west, Yates Center, Chinook, back now through Pittsburgh and to Baxter, Joplin, Lamar, just outside Neosho going to Miami and north of Veneta. That batch moves through the cold front. You can see the wind shift line gets a little closer. Here we are at 2 a.m. We're looking at maybe again at least one more round of thunderstorms that'll develop across parts of southeast Kansas around 2 a.m. Say Fredonia, Yates Center, and Chinook areas, and then it will push southeast into northeastern Oklahoma. So Miami, you get another round of rain about 4 o'clock in the morning. It starts to go eastward as the front sags a little further to the south. Now it's into southwest Missouri by 6 a.m. on Thursday, and then it's out of here. Then we get new storms, and that's why I was talking about this morning too. There was some disagreement on model data whether we'd have isolated storms or a few scattered ones. Well, this one's catching up with maybe the idea of a few scattered ones in the southern half of our area by 10 o'clock Thursday. Not much to it, but at least some additional scattered storms out there. And then that is going to do it for our rain chances. So today, again, heat index values, some of us already getting close to 110 degrees. And same tomorrow, that up to 110. But as we go into Thursday, we start to see these temperatures, these heat index values backing off out there until eventually we actually don't have any. These are just our air temperatures for Friday. How about that? So let's take a look at what we're expecting again today. Going into the upper 90s near 100. That'll happen again tomorrow. And then look at what happens here. Thursday, those storms. Friday, a few pop-up storms possible, but our temperatures drop below average heading into the weekend. First weekend of August, and we're actually going to be a little cooler than where we have been, but enjoy the weekend because as we roll into next week, some pop-up storms, but temperatures start climbing back up in the low to mid-90s. But we got a great weekend ahead of us.
We really do. Mid-80s in August?
Yeah, I can't complain it.
Nope, not at all. Chris, thanks. Well, stick around. We're making peachy keen cream pie in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. Well, when you've got fresh peaches, it only takes a few ingredients to make something absolutely delicious. Howard is making peachy keen cream pie in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
This is the time of year that fresh peaches are pretty much available everywhere at some really reasonable prices. And that means we can turn them into cobblers, add them to our smoothies, or best of all, use them in all sorts of baked goods, like the creamy dreamy pie that we're making today. We start by lining a pie plate with either a homemade or refrigerated pie crust and fluting the edges. Now, in a small bowl, we combine some brown sugar, flour, a touch of cinnamon, and a pinch of salt. After giving this a stir, we add some fresh cream and give it a mix. Now, we fill our pie crust with a good amount of sliced fresh peaches and pour the cream mixture over them. After baking it and letting it cool at room temp, into the fridge it goes until it's time for dessert. Right before serving, finish it with dollops of fresh whipped cream and thin slices of fresh peaches for an even fancier look. This pie is everything we love about fresh summer dessert. To get the recipe for our peachy keen cream pie, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a peachy delicious way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. Now here's a look at the 4-state market prices.
All right, again, heat advisories for most of us through at least tomorrow evening, and there's why. Temperatures near 100, heat index values to 110, and then the storm chances. We get that cold front end late Wednesday into Thursday, scattered storms, and heading into the weekend temperatures, and you want to be sitting down for this one, below normal heading into this weekend.
Great, all right.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Yes, absolutely. David Epper's later on.
Lots coming up at 5. For starters, there's new hope in the fight against Alzheimer's disease with new treatments giving families more time and more options. Plus, the Missouri Supreme Court strikes down a marijuana tax. How dispensaries and consumers in the Show Me State could benefit. And a historic black church site in Fort Scott, Kansas gets a new look thanks to the Gordon Parks Museum. Hope you'll join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, Dale, thanks. And that's the news for now. Thank you for joining us on KOAM News at noon. Have a great rest of your day.